Joining us now is OjyOkpe, with stories trending around the world.
Just make it louder. Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
The lady in white.
Yes, absolutely. I am pure. Good morning, Ayo. Yes, spotless. Yes. Good morning, Oji. No violence. Good morning, Kay. I love this thing that we do. None whatsoever. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, protesters gathered outside the Marion County Judicial Center in Ocala, Florida, to demand the arrest of a white woman who shot and killed a 35-year-old mother of four, Ajaka Owens, on Friday, June 2nd. Ajaka had gone to her neighbor's house to retrieve one of her children's iPad when she was shot through the front door and later died at a hospital. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who is representing the Owens family, said the shooter had been yelling racial slurs at Owens' children as they played in a nearby lot and had thrown a pair of skates that hit one of them. The county's sheriff said the shooting incident was the culmination of a 2.5-year feud between the neighbors. Then, a federal judge on Tuesday began hearing arguments in a case that hopes to make public the Duke of Sussex Prince Harry's U.S. immigration records. The lawsuit from the Conservative Heritage Foundation seeks to compel the government to release the records to show whether drug use was disclosed. The 38-year-old royal had publicly admitted to using cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms in his memoir, Sphere. In Ukraine, a major dam in the southern part of the country collapsed on Tuesday, flooding villages, endangering crops, and threatening drinking water supplies. Ukraine accused Russian forces of blowing up the dam, while Russian officials blamed Ukrainian bombardment in the contested area where the river separates the two sides. President Volodymyr Zelensky called it the largest man-made environmental disaster in Europe in decades. In Nigeria, organized labor on Tuesday gave reasons why it agreed with the federal government to suspend the strike scheduled to commence today, Wednesday, June 7th, stating that it took into account a restraining court injunction procured by the federal government to stop the proposed nationwide strike. The union accused the federal government of exploiting ex parte injunctions to silence workers. Under sports, Villarreal's Nigerian international Samuel Chukwueze has won the La Liga Best African Player for the 2022-2023 season. The 24-year-old Super Eagles forward earned the accolade after starting 27 of the 37 matches he played for Villarreal this season. Villarreal announced that Chukwueze was voted for the award by more than 30,000 fans and 26 journalists from the continent, ahead of other top African players. Finally, under entertainment, Academy Award winner Cuba Gooding Jr. on Tuesday settled accusations that he raped a woman in a New York City hotel a decade ago, just as the trial was about to begin. The 55-year-old actor had insisted through lawyers that his encounter with the woman was consensual after the two met at a nearby restaurant. In 2022, Cuba Gooding had avoided prison time after complying with the terms of a conditional plea agreement that saw him plead guilty to charges involving just one of what prosecutors have said were allegations from at least 30 women. Well, let's begin what's trending. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has broken his silence on the issue of subsidy removal 1 week after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made the much criticized announcement. Peter Obi, while speaking with judicial correspondents at the Court of Appeal venue of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, maintained that subsidy should be removed because it's an organized crime, but criticized the manner in which it was removed, stating that rather than go through a forceful removal, he would have provided various relieving policies to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal.
There's a difference between removing your tooth by applying anesthesia, which will alleviate your pain, and just pulling it out. The difference is that I believe it should be removed with conditions, and that condition has to be applied. If I was involved, I would have shown in empirical statistical data how much we are going to save, where we are going to apply it, the gains for the people, so they can, just like I said all throughout my campaign, that I'm going to govern the people by being open, showing them empirically verifiable facts on how the country can be better, and everybody can follow it. The reason why Nigerians are agitating about everything here is that when people say, let's go and suffer, let's go and sacrifice, they don't see the effect of the sacrifice at the end. But if you're going to do it, then do it in an organized manner where the people can see a verifiable plan. And that's it. I did a lot of similar things while I was governing Anambra State, stopping this to do this. But each one I did, I showed the people in a verifiable manner where we're going to land. Governance should not be supply-driven, it should be demand-driven. You govern with the people. Let the people know what you're doing and explain to them in a clear terms.
Peter Obi has broken his silence finally. If you recall, there was a story about how he had said that he would remove subsidy on the first day, but he has talked about cushioning the effect before removing subsidy, which is what he would do if he was president. But in the meantime, the Senate's approval of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointment of 20 special advisors has generated reactions on social media, although the president's letter to the upper chamber requesting the approval of the 20 special advisors had no names attached. Some Nigerians have expressed concern as to the nature of their duties and the cost implications. Last Friday, June 2nd, barely a week after inauguration, Tinubu announced the appointment of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, as Chief of Staff, and Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hajijiya as his Deputy Chief of Staff. Well, let's take some reactions. This is from Martins, who wrote, 20 special advisors would still be paid salaries, allowances, and would have securities and oddlies attached to them, with probably a long convoy. Cost of governance keep rising. Well, Samuel wrote, like subsidy, we are waiting for Tinubu to make a strong statement on cutting the cost of governance. There is no better way to start than with these special advisors. It should not be business as usual. Cut all the entitlements to the basics. We must plug all the holes. Well, Cecilia wrote, Nigerian senators are paid 13.5 million naira monthly to share the national cake, while service providers, lecturers, professors, doctors, nurses, teachers, police, military staff, and no one sees the perversion. What a country. Dr. Abati, I mean, this is the conversation out there. It is just unfortunate that it is within this whole subsidy removal announcement that the president is asking for 20 special advisors. I know you have worked in the presidential villa. I'd like for you to educate us on what it is that these 20 special advisors will be needed
I didn't just work there. I was special advisor.
Absolutely.
In charge of media and presidential communications. Now, the thing is that executive powers are given to the president under Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution. He has executive powers. Now, that includes the powers to hire and fire and to appoint persons to assist him in the discharge of his functions. It is under that rubric that the Constitution recognizes that there must be a state from a minister from each state of the Federation, about 36. But in seeking the approval, oftentimes, the president could say, I want additional 6 from 6 geopolitical zones. Now, also, Section 151 of the 1999 Constitution also says the president can appoint special advisors to assist him in the discharge of his functions. He has to take the list of ministers to the National Assembly. He also has to the Senate. He also has to take the request for advisors to the to the Senate for approval, right? Then, of course, there are other positions in the Constitution that are recognized expressly in the Constitution. We've been arguing that with the appointment of ministers, because ministers, so that there will be round pegs in round holes, that their names, when they are submitted, the portfolios should be attached thereto, so that, when they are being quizzed by the Senate, you will know the particular assignment. They themselves will have an idea of what they're going to do. That practice has not been adopted. The relevant section of the Constitution in that regard has not been reviewed. But with regard to special advisors, the Constitution does not even say you have to state the portfolio or submit the names. That's entirely at the discretion of the president. And these special advisors, the number that has been quoted is 20. The Senate will determine their remuneration. The Senate will determine their number, but usually the standard number is about 22. But what President Tinubu has asked for is 20. And they cease to hold that position the moment the president himself leaves, because they are direct aides of the president. Now, the people are complaining. What they do not know is that apart from these 20 or 22 special advisors that will be appointed, these special advisors can also, in seeking further assistance for them to be effective in assisting the president, we approach the president and ask for the appointment of senior special assistants. Special assistants. The difference between senior special assistants and special assistants is that the assistants, those in the assistants category, they don't take oath of office. They don't take oath of allegiance. They are just there as part of the team. But special advisors would, because they are of minister of state rank, they are also of ministerial rank, they will be required to take an oath of office and an oath of allegiance, and they will be assisted by special assistants and senior special assistants. It is not true. I did not see any special advisor in our time that had bodyguards or that was using a convoy. No, you are aides of the president, and all of you work as the president determines. It's the president that will use his discretion to assign portfolio, special advisor media, chief physician to the president, special advisor social investment. All of that is at his discretion. So that is the reality of that. So people should just know how the system works before they just go to social media and talk about things they don't know. Now, secondly, as for Peter Obi, well, Peter Obi was indeed a member of the economic management team under President Jonathan, and he made it clear that he's not opposed to fuel subsidy. I have not had any other presidential candidate, even Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, did not oppose fuel subsidy removal. There is a consensus that, look, it's unsustainable, it's a drain on the economy, it promotes inefficiency, it promotes corruption. The issue is how. And that's why Peter Obi was talking about forceful tooth removal. If you want to remove a problematic tooth, I'm sure, maybe everybody here will know that, if you have had to remove a tooth before.
Yes, of course.
You are smiling. You are confirming it. I know. The dentist will apply a local anesthetic.
Right. Yes.
So Mr. Peter Obi is saying, if you do forceful removal, it will come with a lot of pain. Isn't that what most Nigerians are saying now? That, okay, even if you want to remove this fuel subsidy, you just came the same day, you just inflicted pain on the people without enough communication.
Absolutely.
As some people have argued, without making sure that the people take a sense of ownership of it. Even if the Buhari administration had made the same statement, a new administration should at least engage the people. So the problem now here is not about the economic sense of it. It is about what comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Absolutely. Well, Kayode, I think majorly the conversation is about cutting the cost of governance, which is why, we're bringing up this topic. Do you really think that the president needs all of those advisors that Dr. Abati has just shared with us about their duties and all of that? Do we need that at this point in our economy?
In our economy, we need whatever the president says he needs. But at the same time, there is absolutely no way you can justify a situation where you have so many special advisors. And like Ruben said, yes, there will be 20 special advisors, but there will still be senior special assistants. There will still be special assistants. So the number increases.
Yeah.
And Ruben, you can help us understand, do they all get paid or not?
They get paid.
They might not have
They don't have convoys, but see, the president cannot do the job alone.
He can't.
Take, for example, special advisor, media and publicity. The president cannot be speaking for himself. He will need a spokesperson. The spokesperson running a department with a team of about 150 people, and that includes the State House Press Corps. That includes different departments working on statements, preparing speeches, reporting meetings.
Does that fall under the purview of the Ministry of Information?
It's not Ministry of Information.
Is that
the
part
Ministry
of
of Information speaks for government. The office of the president has his own communications team.
For the president.
So
yes.
That really then
you know, I mean, it's not as if that's an expensive operation. Okay, are you going to say the president of Nigeria should not have a chief physician? He will have a chief physician.
If I could just very quickly chip in, it takes me to the point. The reason I deferred to Ruben's position is because of what elder statesman, Engineer Ogule, Senator Ogule said. This presidential system is expensive.
Absolutely.
It costs us too much money.
It's ridiculous.
If it was a different kind of government, the president will not need to have that many people.
No.
And if he does, there will be members of the parliament who are working with the president. We know how it works in the United Kingdom, where the government is different.
That is the
We also have advisors in the UK.
Yes. But not many.
Okay.
Not this number.
Rishi Sunak recently appointed an economic advisor.
Not the kind of number.
I just so we can move to our
the president
second
cannot do the work alone.
Yes.
However, he, as was mentioned in section 151 and 152 of the Constitution, he has discretionary powers. What the Senate does is to approve the numbers. In 2019, President Buhari had approached the Senate to appoint 15 special advisors. In 2011 was 20 from President Goodluck Jonathan, and that came under criticism because they put the amount of money that he was going to spend, that's taxpayers' money, to fund this at about 15,543,000, and that was a lot. In the spirit of the fuel subsidy removal, what Nigerians perhaps would have expected was that, yes, he needs advisors, he cannot run alone, but that he would be a slimmer team. A slimmer team, especially because if he's saying he wants to have an effective and efficient team. We're not asking him not to have advisors. What we're saying is that he must reflect the current state of our economy. That's what people are asking. And in terms of the details, perhaps when he releases the details of what he's appointing them for, it might justify the numbers. We don't have that yet. He would release that afterwards.
In any case, you are talking about number. These 20 special advisors that he wants approval for, they will be shared between him and the vice president.
All right,
because
Dr.
the vice president has his own, wing of the villa, and he also has advisors who assist him in the day-to-day running.
I support Kayode's stance, which is maybe we should adopt the parliamentary system. Correct. Well, let's take another story. Nigerian Air was trending on Tuesday after members of the Senate Committee on Aviation expressed dissatisfaction at the unveiling of the purported national carrier. The launch of Nigerian Air with just one aircraft on the last working day of the Buhari administration on May 26, 2023, was declared by the chairman of the House Committee on Aviation, Nolim Naji, a fraud after major stakeholders in the deal between the federal government and Ethiopian Airlines denied knowledge of the launch.
We want to put on record that the committee and indeed the National Assembly had no role in the purported launch of Nigerian Air or anything related thereof. We as a committee will not accept any attempt by any individual or group of individuals or organization to hide under the project Nigerian Air and siphon our commonwealth. Consequently, the committee hereby resolved to 1. Direct the Federal Ministry of Aviation and its partners in the Nigerian Air project to immediately suspend any operation regarding to Nigerian Air and every other action with respect to Nigerian Air. 2. Urge our new President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President and Commander-in-Chief, to, as a matter of urgency, constitute a high-level presidential committee to undertake a holistic review of the processes of the whole Nigerian Air project and advise the government on the way forward. 3. Ensure that all individuals or groups or organizations involved in the controversial Nigerian Air takeoff are brought to book, prosecuted and sanctioned.
Circle, which the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, named as one of the shareholders of the 46% said to belong to Nigerian institutional investors, denied at the House session that they had anything to do with the airline and that the shareholders announced by the minister did not contribute a dime to the purported airline. They also claimed that every expenditure came from the federal government. The MD of the Nigeria Airspace Management Agency also stated that the aircraft which the minister brought in as Nigerian Air was a chartered Ethiopian aircraft and that the aircraft does not belong to the national carrier. ICRC, the body which gives the final compliance certificate to government businesses, has not given approval to the Ministry of Aviation to carry on with the national carrier due to the pending court order filed by AON. They claim that the House Committee meeting that they knew nothing about the launch of the Nigeria airline. I mean, this has caused a lot of reactions on social media. You know, I'd like to come to you on the story. A lot of questions here. I mean, the fact that SACOL had pulled out saying that, you know, they had nothing to do with the airline. I mean, what does that signify? I mean, does it mean that the Minister of Aviation had used our taxes for this? I mean,
what they said was that they were not invited to the unveiling, so they were not aware.
But they also denied, like you heard me, saying that they did not contribute a dime.
Yes, so people questioned that. So the billions of naira that had been sent prior to, you know, the logo, the unveiling. Earlier on, I'd questioned how much money was spent even for that ceremony that now, in terms of nomenclature, we're trying to identify whether it was an unveiling or a launch. What we heard was that it was a launch. It was an aircraft that arrived on Nigerian soil, and it had the flag painted on the wings and all that. And there were pictures taken, and people said we were launching something on the 26th of May, 2023. Now we find out that it's not even there. Other questions, Oji, is that there's an MD, Dakolumide, and people have asked, what office was he working from? Who were his, what staff, who was he reporting to? What was the structure in that particular office? Because they don't have a website. I don't know if they have a registered office. So it just feels like Nigerians were taken for a ride.
Yes, I mean, with all of these approvals lacking, and what are we saying? That the minister went ahead in defiance of the court order. You know, people have been sending tweets. I'll take one more tweet. This is Preach Love, says, since the reps have declared that the Nigeria Air launch is a fraud, I'd like to confirm if Hadi Sirika has been arrested for deceiving Nigerians. I mean, this is actually the point. Kayode, we only have about maybe 30 seconds if you want to add to this really quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. It is a fraud because, like I said, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. And that's what I was trying to say the other time. This is a complete fraud. The minister has taken Nigerians for a ride. It should be investigated. And this government of President Tinubu should investigate this and make sure that Ministry of Aviation gets the right people within that organization to spell out everything that happened, how much money was spent, how much. I mean, imagine the thing you walked through that was supposed to be one. Each one was costing so many millions. It's unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
Well, I mean, we need to know what actually is going on. I mean, they have called for, you know, the halting of this whole transaction. Well, thank you all. I don't know if you want to say something.
People should be careful when they just put labels, because there are other commentators on the subject. Bashir Ahmed, for example, who worked in the office of the president, who said it is not a fraud.
Yes, I had a tweet.
Dakolumide, the MD, also said, look, it's not a fraud. What they did was not a launch, that it was an unveiling, and that it is not wrong within the aviation industry, you know, to charter a flight, okay? But the question is, which I pointed out earlier on, is that it's good that the aviation committees in the National Assembly are asking questions, because these are representatives of the people, and they have the right to ask questions. Nigerians also have the right to know. So if there are gray areas, it's part of the responsibility of the new administration to look into it, because they have inherited it, as they have inherited other things. 83 memos, many last-minute contracts that are awarded, fuel subsidy that was pushed onto their plate.
We have run out of time.
So let's not just jump.
Well, Nigerians are intelligent people, and they are asking questions, and they need to continue to ask these questions. Well, thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.